Hi, welcome to the next video in my sub-series on fixed income, where I follow the sequence assigned to FRM candidates, meaning I'm at the start of Chapter 3, where Bruce Tuckman introduces the carry roll down, which is admittedly a tedious calculation, but once we understand why he's doing this, I think it's profound and fascinating because the point of the exercise is to allow us to break down the total profit and loss experienced on a bond into its various components, which is really important from an investment perspective. So what we'll do in this exercise is we'll start at times 0, that's today. And because I'm rebuilding Bruce Tuckman's actual example, I want to be consistent with that. Today happens to be May 30th, 2010. But we'll start with a bond today, and then we're just going to simulate the passage of time, going forward 6 months in time. And then we're going to break down that profit and loss into its components. In this case, there's going to be a profit mostly due to the coupon that we get. That's called the cash carry. But we're going to look also at the price change. We do need to assume an initial term structure. And here I do have graphed the term structure that we'll actually use, consistent with Tuckman's numbers. This is not a risk-free term structure. It's a risky term structure, meaning it's the discount rates that we actually use on this risky bond, right? So in dash green, there's a risky term structure of spot rates that's compatible with a risky term structure of forward rates. In orange, these are the forward rates we'll use. We start today, we simulate going forward 6 months, and then we look at the total profit and loss of this bond. We break out the cash carry, which is the coupon and any finance cost, and then look at the price change on the bond. In this case, there's going to be a little bit of a price depreciation, but the point of the exercise is going to be to break it down to its 3 components. First, the carry roll down. I'm just abbreviating here, and that carry roll down is going to be the price, the gain or loss in the price of the bond due exclusively to the passage of time, where we will need to make an assumption, of course, about the behavior of the term structure. So we have some discretion in that choice, but that carry roll down is only going to be price change due to passage of time. The second will be rates. This is going to be the price gain or loss due to a shift in the risk-free term structure. And so that's a market risk factor. This is overall interest rates common to everybody. If the term structure drops for everybody, that's a market risk factor. We'll experience a gain, but it wasn't really specific to the bond. Third, spreads. In this case, what is the price gain or loss due to a widening or narrowing of the spread? Unlike the rates, which is a market risk factor common to everybody, a widening or narrowing of the spread is specific to the bond, and we can call this a credit risk factor. So we'll take the total price gain or loss of the bond over the 6 months, break it down into 1, exclusively the passage of time, 2, the market risk factor, that is any shift in the risk-free term structure, and 3, any spread or narrowing, and that's the credit risk factor. So I have your Tuckman's tables 3.2 and 3.3 that I've rebuilt in Excel. I know it looks like a lot, but I'm going to break it down. And we'll just keep in mind that over here on the left is the detail that informs here. This is going to feed the summary. That's the decomposition of the profit and loss. Decomposition, a fancy word for breaking it down to its pieces or components. So in this case, we have a bond as of May 30th, and then we're going to have 6 months is the passage of time, and then as the owners of that bond, or the ones who have a long position in that bond, we're going to experience a profit and loss. In this case, it happens to be a profit. And the point of the exercise is to break down, in this case, the profit into its components. Why did we make a profit? That's the decomposition. And so I have replicated Tuckman's assumptions. So that's some non-round values. Face value of the bond is 100. The coupon is 0.75%. So as usual, it's a semi-annual coupon bond paying 37.5 cents every 6 months. And so as 6 months, in the passage of time over 6 months, there will be one coupon that will play a role in what's called the cash carryover here. So if we go down to the lower left panel here, there is the pricing at the initial date. So that's pretty close to May 30th. And again, we have this bond with 1.5 years to maturity, right? That's why we have 3 columns, right? So there's at the initial point in time, pricing date, May 28th, 2010, there's going to be 3 cash flows, a coupon, and then a final coupon and return to principal. We're not going to get that far. We're only going to go 6 months. At the time that we price this bond, there is here, you can see, again, using same labels of Tuckman, we have an initial forward term structure. I'm going to call that the risky term structure because if I take here, well, we have 3 rates here, right? We have a 6-month spot rate, really. We have a 6-month forward rate, by which I mean the 6-month forward rate that begins in 6 months and ends in 1 year. And then we have another 6-month forward rate beginning in 1 year, ending in 1.5 years. So we have a forward rate term structure, but I'm going to call it the risky forward rate term structure because it has 2 components, right? You can see it's a simple addition here. If I take this 1 year forward rate, again, 6-month forward rate the 6-month forward rate, meaning 6-month forward rate beginning in 6 months, ending in 1 year, that will discount the cash flow to be received in 1 year. This is 60 basis points, but it's the summation of what Tuckmans called the term structure and the spread, right? That's easy. Okay, so this term structure, I'm going to call that the risk-free term structure. So that when we have a 60 basis points for this 6-month forward rate, it is the summation of 55.6 basis points for the risk-free or riskless term structure plus the spread, right? The risk-free term structure, in theory, that would be common to everybody, but the spread would be specific to the bond. And so to simplify, we would say this is the spread that's compensation for the credit risk, right? Market risk here on the risk-free term structure, credit risk on the spread. We add them together to get the forward rate that's part of the risky term structure, right? So here we could think of this row as being the risk-free term structure and this row as being the risky term structure applicable to this bond. Okay, so we have here the price of the bond. It matches Tuckman's table because I've matched the inputs. And that you can see, I'm not going to go into detail here, but I've used those forward rates applicable to this bond to price the bond. And I could have imputed the spot rates, which I did in fact for the graph, and priced the bond. I get the same exact result. $100.19 for the price of this bond as of this pricing date, pretty close to May 30th. Okay, so far so good. And now we go forward 6 months in time and conduct the analysis. And that's this lower panel here that really has the 3 parts because we're breaking down the price appreciation, in this case, or the price change, into its 3 components. Right, here's that first section from, let's see, Roman numeral 4 to 6, using the same labels as Tuckman. And we have what's called the carry roll down. And what we do here is, this was the topic of my previous video, we have to make an assumption as to what happens to the term structure as we go forward 6 months in time, or the assumption due to the passage of time. And we have 3 basic assumptions. The first is unchanged yield, which is rather academic. We use it a lot, but it's not very realistic. And then, so it really amounts to realistically a choice between unchanged term structure or what we're showing here, realized forwards. Realized forwards is when we assume that the forward rate predicts the future short-term spot rates and therefore really does not have a risk premium or term structure for risk built into it. But so here we have the realized forward. We could have a different assumption. And what that means, you can see here is, again, our pricing date now is 6 months forward, November 30th, that we're saying after 6 months, the new 6-month spot rate here is the previous 6-month forward rate. And the 1-year forward rate, because we're realizing the forwards, becomes the 6-month spot rate, right? I've borrowed those directly without modification per the equals because I've realized forward. The 6-month forward is realized as the 6-month spot. The 1-year forward becomes realized as the 6-month forward. That's what we mean to be realized forward. And I could have done something different. I could have done unchanged term structure, in which case we go forward 6 months, but we would be looking at the same term structure. So just to pause on that, if we said unchanged term structure, what I would have here is this value here, 14.9 basis points instead of the 55.6. Big, huge difference. But then in terms of the realized forwards, I've also got the spreads. I don't change those. And then as before, the summation then is what I'm going to call the assumption here, and I'll bold it, is the risky term structure. But we only need a year. Now we've moved forward in time. And then pricing the bond. And so what we have here is $99.91 is the price of the bond in 6 months under the assumption of realized forward, and it's due only to the passage of time. We didn't change any of the other assumptions. Ceteris paribus, as they say. Okay, so that's the realized forward part. And then we have here the second of the 3 components that will contribute to, in this case, the price drop. And that is a rate change assumption. So the rate change here refers to a shift in the risk-free term structure. And so that's why it's highlighted in yellow. And Tuckmans assumed that the risk-free term structure is shifted down by 10 basis points. So in here you could think, as a realistic analog, that would be, for example, like the Fed dropping the interest rate. Common to everybody, we could say the risk-free term structure drops. And so it's modeled here. Notice this component builds off of this one because we're going to accumulate here. It subtracts 10 basis points, right? So 55.6 becomes 45.6. 103.6 becomes 93.6. Our spreads are unchanged. And then the summation here is a 6-month spot rate and a 6-month forward rate. And we price the bond here as usual by discounting, get $100 and just over $100.01. But as we go from this price to this price, what are we really getting? Well, we're getting a price change that's due only to a shift in the risk-free term structure. And recall, that really is about market risk, not credit risk. It's going to be common to everybody. And the third component here is the spread change, narrowing or widening. This is oftentimes, in reality, for risky bonds, what gets a lot of the attention. And so here, another assumption, and what Tuckman's assumption makes is that the credit spread here for this bond narrows, in this case dramatically. To keep it simple, it narrows to 0. So we have a spread. For the first time now, we've changed that spread from, you can see, 4.4 basis points to 0. The term structure here borrows from above. We're accumulating so that we have here what he's called the spread change forward, but this becomes here our modified risky term structure so that we can price the bond here, but this time with spreads narrowing to 0. so that this difference here, this price change, is a change that we can attribute exclusively to the narrowing of the spread. And so this third component we can attribute to credit risk. This here, again, market risk, this here, credit risk. So that's the detail. We've taken 6 months passage in time. We've cumulatively looked at price changes due to 3 different elements. One, only the passage of time under some scenario assumption, either unchanged term structure or instead what we used here, realized forward. Second, due to a shift in the risk-free term structure that we'll call market risk. And third, due to a widening or narrowing the spread that we'll call credit risk. As that detail comes over and feeds the decomposition, we have the initial price here. Same table as Tuckman 3.3. I've colored them and I've also pulled, these cells are dynamic, the breakdown here. But then we've got the, notice right here, price appreciation. That is the total price appreciation, including all 3 dynamics, passage of time, market risk, and credit risk. And then here, this is, in this case, it happens to be a drop. So the price appreciation is a price depreciation. It's the sum of the 3 components. So the sum of these do equal this, but we are breaking it down piece by piece. And so that first part is the carry roll down. And we know from the forum here that there's a common misunderstanding here with FRM candidates. The carry roll down is a pretty narrow definition. It's not nearly the whole profit and loss. The carry roll down is only the price different, the change in the price. So it has nothing to even do with the coupon. You can see here, it's this price difference. So carry roll down is only the change in the bond's price due to the passage of time under a desired scenario assumption. That's all pretty narrow. We have the rates component due to market risk, and we have the spreads component due to presumably due to a change in the credit profile in this of the bond. In this case, there was presumably a dramatic credit improvement, an escalation in the credit quality of the bond because the spread narrowed. So those 3 just give us the price appreciation. Then there's the cash carry because we haven't included the bond. The bond here is 37.5 cents, right? That we started in May 30th, May 28th about, went forward 6 months, there would be a coupon. We'd receive that. If there were financing costs, we would need to deduct that as part of the cash carry. Keeping it simple here, if we can even say that about this example, it's not really simple. Tuckman assumes no financing cost of 0. So the coupon received, that's a positive value of 37.5. So that the total P&L here you can see is, this is a classic finance, basically our total shareholder return is price appreciation plus income, and so that's what we're getting here. Our total profit and loss is price appreciation plus cash carry. In this case, the price dropped, right, from $100.19 to $100.05. So we had a price depreciation, but offset by that cash coupon gives us a profit and loss of 24 cents. P&L, positive P&L, 24 cents. But again, the whole point of this is not to say, okay, we made 24 cents on the bond. How do we break it down? We break it down by, well, there's cash carry on the bond, probably a lot of the reason for owning it. And then we did experience some slight price depreciation, which we then further break down into the passage of time. 1, shift in the risk-free interest rate, that's 2, or aka market risk, and 3, widening or narrowing of the spread, aka credit risk. So I hope that's a hopeful breakdown. If it is, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.